Hey everybody, welcome to We've Got the Beat, the podcast devoted to 80s entertainment for teens and beyond. I almost got it right. I'm gonna keep going. I'm your host, Michael. Mindy's on the other side.
Keep on going. Keep on going. We accept each other with flaws and all.
I flipped some phrases there, I think. But, so I think last episode, I can't remember if I said it, that what the episode was going to be. And that's why I should never, ever say what the episode's going to be ahead of time, because...
I don't think we did.
Okay, there was a movie I was going to discuss, and we'll just say it right now because I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to really discuss it. It was going to be Dead Poets Society and School Ties, but Dead Poets Society, I thought the first hour was boring as fuck, and then something happens, and then I spent the rest of the movie angry and bawling my head off. It was traumatizing.
Yeah, that's not a movie that you need to revisit ever again. It's a really tough movie, and I think that I'm very okay with never discussing it.
Yeah. So originally it was a perfect pairing with School Ties, but we decided since everybody is now, and it's been kind of a slow build over the last year, I feel like. Maybe a little bit more.
I was an OG. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like just lately, though, it's been a Brendan Fraser renaissance. I feel like it started... I mean, there were people talking about some of the shows that he was doing. Apparently, it was a Condor TV show on Starz that was like a limited series that he was very good in.
It was like a take on Night of the Condor. Is that what it was?
Days of Condor? I can't remember. It's the movie with Robert Redford. It's like a spy movie. Yeah, so it's a modern telling of that, and that got a lot of acclaim, and apparently he was very good in it. And I had kind of seen some articles about 2-3 years ago about why he left Hollywood, and most of the articles, though, were fucking brutal. Like, look at him now! And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you assholes? You know?
I mean, I just wanted to cry when I read most of it, because it's just like, so vulnerable he made himself in those interviews.
Yeah.
And I just felt like they were focusing on the wrong things. But I think, those shows, if you did several back to back, and then it's sad to say I haven't seen any of them, and I tried to find them, to watch them, but I can't get my hands on them. But I think, Doom Patrol really heightened it.
Yeah, but that's mostly like his voice work, and he's a little bit like...
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of like that. I guess that was the real start where people started talking about him again. But
because it is a more high-profile project than those other shows. I mean, I think it seemed like a more high-profile project. There's some really good actors in that show, and I felt like it got talked about way more than those other shows. Even though it is just voice work, it still was more top tier or something. I don't know.
And that does seem like that was kind of his bread and butter, was cartoon-oriented stuff. Either, he was actually on the screen or he was doing voice work, because there's George of the Jungle, there's Dudley Do-Right, he did the Looney Tunes back in action, and then... I want to say I know he did like the Nut Job. I want to say he was like in Area 51 or something like that. But he started doing some voice work.
That's a cartoon, right?
I think so. I'm going to look. I think I might have the wrong person here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you've been right about everything else so far.
Well,
I think he did a few animated movies too.
Yeah. I could have swore he was in another animated movie, but it just says The Nut Job. But there's Furry Vengeance, too, which is almost basically a live-action cartoon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing. And then he did some King of the Hill, whatever. So he kind of stepped back a little bit to do voice work. And now it's because his casting in that Steven Soderbergh, all of a sudden, all the big directors are now coming, calling to have him in his films.
Him like sharks.
Yeah, and we have Aronofsky with The Whale, which is getting a lot of buzz from the film festivals, and then Scorsese has him in Killers of the Flower Moon. He was supposed to be the bad guy in Batgirl.
That movie is going to be really amazing.
Yeah, and it's just, hopefully, I really do hope they change their mind about Batgirl. Did you see the trailer?
No, I didn't, but I almost don't want to, because I think it would hurt my soul. But I'm really very, very disappointed in that decision. Truly disappointed.
Yeah.
I forgot about this Trust show, which was interesting because then they made that other movie. That movie, basically the same plot with like Mark Wahlberg and all that. I think it kind of stole the thunder because of all the drama. Series directed by Danny Boyle. I really need to see this because, you know, Brendan Fraser plays the same part in this miniseries that Mark Wahlberg played in that movie.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, it's the one where the...
For the Love of Money or...
Yes, it's something like that. Yeah.
There was so much drama with that movie because of, you know, they had to reshoot it, all the scenes because of... Oh, fuck, whatever his name is.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey had to reshoot all the money in the world. That's what it was called. And, it, you know, this TV series must have come out either right after or right around the same time. And because of all the drama, it really got... I mean, I didn't even hear of it. So I'm very curious to see that version because... Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. But I don't even really think the movie was that great, but there was so much drama around it for various reasons that I think Christopher Plummer got nominated for an Oscar for it, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I thought it was boring as fuck. I couldn't even finish it, but... back to the very beginnings of Brendan Fraser. How do you say it? Is it Fraser or Fraser?
I don't know. I thought it was Fraser, but it doesn't... I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Now, we had discussed...
Sorry, pals. I still love the man.
We discussed, like, maybe it was 2 years ago, Dogfight, which is the first time that we had ever seen him. He's in a very small role as a sailor. And... I
mean, I should it's not the first time I ever saw him, but I realized it was the first movie that... Really, it was the movie that he... You know, the first movie he did, I think. But I hadn't seen Dogfight until... You know, that's the first time I'd ever watched it. So I discovered later that he was in it, but my first exposure to him probably was School Ties, yes?
Because I don't believe you had seen Encino Man yet. Did you see this in theaters? Because I know I saw this on video.
I thought we saw it in the theater.
I did. You might have gone with Mom.
I don't remember things the way you do.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Well, I think 1992 is a perfect juxtaposition of his career because... it seems like every time he would do a drama, it would bomb. And that seems like what he really wanted to do. But Encino Man is the one that was successful, the one that everybody started to know him from, and constantly having to go back to that. Do you remember? Because Encino Man made a lot of money, and then everything after that tanked for years, and his career was almost gone.
I mean, I don't think that he... I think Furry Vengeance was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really think that he made bad choices. I just think things didn't turn out the way they should have.
Yeah.
For example...
Well, I mean, it seems like there's always...
Hey, I'm not done. Don't interrupt me. For example, Inkheart should have been so much better of a movie than it was. My God. You know, some of the stuff just should have been a better movie, and it wasn't his fault that things turned out the way they did. But, I mean, so many of the things I personally enjoy, I don't care that they didn't make a ton of movies. Blast from the Past would be one of my favorite movies of all fucking time. I just think that some of the things he didn't turn out as well as they should have.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with timing. Like, Looney Tunes Back in Action should have been a hit, but they released it the week after Elf, which makes no sense. They dumped Monkey Bone, Inkheart, and Blast from the Past, like, in the dead of winter. Like, you know, like the last half of February when nobody's going to movies. And just seemed like...
and Looney Tunes is so good.
It is. And Space Jam is the one that everybody loves, and I fucking think it's terrible, and they made a sequel to that.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and the sequel was shit too. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, after this, it was really frustrating for him because he had With Honors, which it seemed like it's one of the... With Honors always seems like one of those movies where the song from it was way more successful than the actual movie. This used to be like...
That was a weird Carrie good time, huh? When we've talked about this before with other movies we've covered, where like the soundtracks were like more popular than the movie itself, or whatever. It's so strange.
And then Airheads bombed, The Scout bombed, and Mrs. Winterbourne bombed, and I thought it was over for him. I think he had done like a Showtime movie, and then all of a sudden George of the Jungle makes a fuck ton of cash. I don't think anybody expected it. And then The Mummy came out right after that and made a fuck ton of money, and then he was made for a while. Even with the bombs, he still had some backup hits to carry him.
Between George of the Jungle and The Mummy was Gods and Monsters, which I truly believe, like, not a lot of people talk about it, but it was one of his, very serious roles that did get attention, that did get, like, accolades, but mostly for Ian McKellen and director Bill Condon and Lynn Redgrave. And yes, he got talked about because it was a very different kind of role for him. And truly, like, I encourage everybody to go watch it because it's truly magnificent. It's a very good film. But yeah, people know him for his, like, charming, rugged, like, slightly, like, either, dim-witted, or maybe not dim-witted, but innocent charm, or, that, The Mummy, because, slightly, what's the word I'm looking for?
High adventure, big comic booky.
But he's also got a little bit of an not ego, but he knows he's charming, or the sweet innocence or whatever. But he's got other stuff. Quite American. Gosh, his 3 episodes in Scrubs.
Oh God.
Will resonate with me for all of eternity, and it has been 20 years.
Yeah. Do you remember when he turned down Superman because they wanted him to sign up for a trilogy? And at the time, I thought it was crazy that he turned it down. But what I didn't know is that he had destroyed his back doing all the action movies.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was like in so much agony and suffering because of those action movies. And I don't even think I remember the Superman thing. I mean, what an interesting take that would have been. But, he had to take care of his health. And, he has kids and stuff, too. He didn't want to be, like, miserable. He wanted to be able to take care of his kids.
Yeah, well, they were going to shoot it in Australia, and he was going to be away from his family for, like, those movies take, like, 6 months to shoot, so it's like half a year without your children.
Who was going to direct that movie in Australia? Why do you need to do it in Australia?
Because what it is Warner Brothers had a deal with... Oh, God, I know. It's like a V. I can't remember the name of the company all of a sudden. But they were an Australian funding company, and they required that Warner Brothers shoot their movies there. That's why Scooby-Doo, the first one, is shot there because they paid for it.
Oh, that's kind of strange.
Yeah, so that's what they would do. That's why The Matrix is down there, because it was an Australian production company.
Yeah. I really thought that, like, 2010 Extraordinary Measures, that was really, really good, and I thought that was going to, like, kind of propel him back in the right direction, but then Furry Vengeance is, like, right after it.
Yeah, that didn't help.
And Escape from Planet Earth, that must be what you were thinking of as the other.
Yes, thank you. Also, Extraordinary Measures was shot where I used to live. One of my coworkers was in it.
Oh, really? I thought it was a really good movie for a PG movie where he had to, like, deal with the Harrison Ford chewing the screen. But,
oh, by the way, everybody, Harrison Ford smiled for the first time this week. It was amazing.
I know. Was it when he was with Short Round?
Yes.
God, I almost sent you that picture of, like, the back-to-back 1984 and the 2022, and I was like, this warms my fucking heart so much. Anyway. So back to, we haven't talked about the movie at all yet. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So what I wanted to say, though, is while Encino Man got all the box office and got the studios noticing Brendan Fraser, I think that the respected directors and casting agencies saw this cast, saw how good everybody was in School Ties.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, almost every single person from this moved up a notch. If they weren't a lead...
Impressive.
What's that?
It's so impressive with the cast. You know, I had Scott watch it with me. He had never seen it before. He was like, how in God's name have I never seen this movie, especially with the, like, cast that it has. It's so amazing.
Has Anthony Rapp ever played a nice guy? That's what I want to know.
I would say that he has played annoying, not necessarily evil, but has he played, like, I would say the closest thing to being likable that he's ever played was Rent. And he was not one of the least likable characters in it. Right? Have you seen Rent?
Yeah, I always feel like he's a tool in everything I see, and he's a fucking monster in this. Good God.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's maybe the only flat-out monster. Some of the guys have really gray moralities. I've been around people like this where they say these inappropriate things. Not lately, obviously, because I don't hang around this kind of... When I was younger, though, you would hear, especially since we lived in a small town, you would hear the N-word or some sort of joke in that vein, or gay jokes, whatever. And it's like, you know the difference between full-on hate and just like generic bigotry, or what do you want to call it? You know what I mean? Like
just even learn stuff. Like, they're just repeating stupid shit that they heard without understanding the ramifications of what that means.
Yeah. And
yes. I think the first time when I was in high school and one of my friends used the term Jude, I was so heartbroken, and it was never the same after that. I was just like, I don't know how to be friends with a person like this who doesn't understand the ramifications of using those words.
Yeah.
It hurt really bad. Yeah.
What's mind-boggling about this is, and this is post-World War II, not even very far from World War II. I think it's 1959. So World War II's only been over for 14 years. And I think we have to deal with the fact that, in reality, American soldiers were so eager to go over to fight the Germans and the Japanese, not because they were trying to save the Jews. They attacked America, and they just wanted vengeance. They attacked Pearl Harbor. Germany was connected with Japan, and just like, okay, they're our enemy, let's go kill them. And I really don't think there was probably a very high percentage of the American soldiers that didn't give a fuck about the Jews.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's a real harsh band-aid to pull, people, and you might say I'm un-American, but you also need to get a grip on reality, and especially realize that even to this day, it's been almost 100 years since World War II ended, and the Jews are still so fucking hated, and I don't know why.
No, I think that I have had a conversation with my husband about this not that long ago, and maybe I'm naive. I understand it exists, but I don't understand why. I truly don't get it.
I have literally heard from people, oh, they're responsible for killing Jesus. Huh?
Oh, God. People still fucking believe that? Okay, I'm probably going to piss off maybe the 3 listeners we have. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't fucking understand it, and that's just that. It's mind-bogglingly stupid.
Yeah. And this movie really... It says it's a sports drama. It is not a sports drama. I don't care how they try to... No, Rudy is a sports drama. This is not. Sports is so, like, what, 1% of this movie? It's shown, like, once, and it causes a big rift between... Well, let's just say this. Matt Damon hates Brendan Fraser almost from the beginning. His character he almost hates because... he's an outsider. He got taken from another school and brought over, and he works in the cafeteria, and he looks at him like this fucking loser, you know. And he comes.
He thinks that he steals what is rightfully his over and over and over again.
Yeah, and the thing is he thinks he owns stuff that he doesn't. He has this weird entitled bullshit, like Amy Locane is his woman. This is my girl, whatever. And she's like, she just smiles politely and lets it go, which is a flaw in her. But also, he seems to be a little unstable. So I mean, what is
it's
she?
Also, 1959. What's a girl gonna do? I mean, should she have said more? Yeah, but again, it's 1959, and their families have been pushing them together their entire lives.
Yeah, and
It's fucking awkward.
and there is a point where you're just like, I mean, no, it's being realistic, but you also like, can you believe this bullshit? She's like, why didn't you just tell me you were a Jewish, a Jew, and this is gonna be a big deal. It's like, what does it matter? I am who I am. What does that mean? And she's like, you just should have told me. Like, she's being a bigot, but she's just not admitting to be a bigot.
Right, but I think the most powerful scene in that was really when he had his conversation / fight with Chris O'Donnell's roommate. I forgot his character name. When he's just like, well, what religion are you? And he's like, I'm Methodist. And he's like, why didn't you tell me you were Methodist? Like, to hit home that, like, it should matter just as little that I'm Jewish as it is that you're Methodist.
Yeah, and he keeps trying to argue.
Why not?
Yeah, his argument is so stupid. He goes, because they're just different. You literally spend every day with this person. Tell me how they're different. Come on.
Yeah.
And I that makes me think a lot about, like, the first year of college. All of a sudden, we had gay friends. Ron and I were really open. Ron's my best friend to this day. Ron and I were very open to people of all kinds. We were so happy to be at that college. It was freeing because we got to see everybody. Because, we grew up.
It was so freeing to be exposed to different kinds of people because it was so limiting where we grew up.
Yeah.
And we knew it.
We had people that were international. We knew Swedish people. We knew people from Japan. We knew people who didn't practice religion, practiced different religions. We're straight, and it was like, oh my God. But I remember, like, there was a few people in our group that were a little apprehensive. And I remember talking to one of them. I go, you're Middle Eastern. Do you want people to treat you the same way that you're treating our gay friend? Do you want that? Because it's the same kind of bigotry or whatever. And he got it. And so this movie really resonated home, not in the same painful way that Dead Poet Society did, but I think everybody in this is absolutely top notch. And what absolutely surprised me is Ed Lauter. Now, you may not know the name. He's like an old school action western guy. He's Brendan Fraser's dad. He's always a fucking asshole.
Oh, he's always a bad guy. He's always a bad guy.
And he wasn't in this, and I was shocked.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was his name, but that was one of the comments that I made after finishing the movie about how surprising and happy I was that he and the guy who played the coach, and I know his name, and I've seen him in a million things, but they always play bad guys, and for once they didn't do that. Was it the guy what's his name? Ed Lauter? Was he in Rocketeer?
No. I think he is. The dude's in like a million movies.
I just saw him because I just watched Rocketeer.
Oh, okay. And then we have like the beginnings of Ben Affleck and Cole Hauser. Randall Bandikoff had been kind of bouncing around a little bit. This was a summer where he also did Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So did Andrew Lowry. And I think
Andrew Lowry, wasn't he the one in like My Boyfriend's Back?
Yes.
They had promise. They just didn't quite make it for the long haul.
I think Lowry might give maybe the best performance in this movie. I mean, everybody is top notch, but his performance haunted me because he is broken.
I mean, you can see the ticks like coming a mile away, but you see how like the expectation and the like treatment is just horrific of his kids, but he is singled out and abused so much.
And what was it, because he was playing black music and that was the problem?
That's what apparently made him stand out, and thus the teacher, and his vendetta against him began and continued. I don't know. It was just horrifying that, I'm sure that people are, teachers are really like that and kids get treated that way, but it's mortifying and it's straight up abuse. And, the way that Brendan Fraser's character reacts is entirely justified in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was entirely responsible for that kid's meltdown.
I had. Did you have abusive teachers at all? Because I had horribly abusive teacher at times, and I just don't understand why they lash out. And I wasn't even a troublemaker. I just at best I was a jokester, and I would get punished for it. I would get so many detentions for just joking.
I had an abusive teacher when I was in the 3rd grade.
Oh, I'm sorry. I remember who this was.
And I had to change classes. I mean, luckily, you know, our mom was very protective of us, and she believed us when we told her things like that. She got me switched into a different class, which probably was the best thing. But then the whole rest of the school year, all the kids called me traitor and treated me like shit because 3rd grade, I switched to a teacher that decided, you know, who chose not to embarrass children in front of the classroom on a regular basis. My teacher would constantly embarrass me.
And I feel bad because it was because of me.
She would compare me to you all the time.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. Yeah, I had a teacher who would, if you were not paying attention, he would set a pencil on those old school heaters. You know, the kind with the, you know, the metal tip or whatever on the end of the eraser. He would set it on the heat or whatever, and when you weren't paying attention, he would grab it and he would put it on your neck and burn your neck.
Oh my God, did he do that to you?
Yeah, and he would take his 2 fingers and jam them down into the nerve, like that Spock nerve. Yeah, just to wake you up. And it fucking, I can't believe the abuse, and that's one of many, many stories.
No, this was in the 90s, and like, I don't know that it's any better now. I mean, I think teachers actually do get held accountable for their actions a little bit more now, but my God, how disgusting. Yeah, I mean, my teacher would, like, read my grades in front of the class and be like, it's not like you to make mistakes and blah, blah, blah. She would point out and, like, in front of everybody, and it's just like, why would you do that to a kid?
Yeah, that's fucked up. I'm really sorry.
Okay, like... But I've never forgotten it, and how many years it's been 35 years.
Were you mad at me? Were you mad at me?
Of course not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay, just checking.
Even at 8 years old or 9 years old, I guess it hasn't been 35 years, 33, whatever. At 8, 9 years old, I knew that that's not how an adult should behave, which is why I told our mom. So at least I knew better, which is good.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to say about School Ties is, for some reason, I thought School Ties was a big hit because it seemed so huge to us. And you just really don't know back then. And I looked, and it cost $18 and only made $14. I guess it made its popularity on video.
I feel like so much of that stuff was made popular on video. I just don't think, I mean, yes, going to the theater was always, you know, kind of it was like more of a special thing, even, you know, a special treat, even in the, like, 80s and 90s, I think, not how it is now, where it's just like people go all the time.
Yeah, well, also I feel like we're overloaded with information and movies everywhere, and we don't discover movies on video anymore. I mean, like, even streaming, or, you know, like, it just, every once in a blue moon something will pop out, but it's nowhere nearly the same as it used to be.
No, because streaming is so commonplace now. There's very few things that, like, slip through the cracks, and you're just like, shit, I just made this amazing discovery that nobody has heard about.
So for you, I've seen this movie once before, many years ago when it first came out, but Hairbrained was a discovery for you, correct?
I think I had seen, like, the poster for it, but no, I absolutely had not watched it before you had suggested it. So no, I did watch it for the first time a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's kind of, it goes in line with School Ties, not just because of Brendan Fraser, but it also seems like the yin to the other one's yang is.
Yes, exactly.
It's still about outcasts and misfits and going to an elite school, but what it shows now is Brendan Fraser is now a very unfocused adult who's just kind of phoning it in and goofing around in college, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just there to be there.
Yeah, instead of being the person who's the odd man out, which, I mean, I guess he still kind of is, because he's a grown-ass man who's, like, 45 in college, but instead he is now kind of the, like, mentor, protector character. So it is really like the yin-yang.
Yeah, and I did not know this was Alex Wolff from Jumanji and Pig. I was shocked when I realized who it was, and he's so fucking amusing and adorable in this movie.
Oh yeah, did you see Old? Have you seen Old?
I have not seen it yet, no.
I realized that those are the main things I had seen him in, Jumanji and Old.
And Julia Garner from Ozarks is in this, and it just kind of fun. Oh wow, she's an alma mater. She went to IU. That's crazy.
Oh, I should also mention, I've deeply loved Brendan Fraser for Always and Forever, but also he is an Indiana native, which has made me endear to him slightly more. He was born in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Did you know that?
Yeah. So one day I went looking for famous people from Indiana. I don't know why. What I think you told me about this before, the Naked Brothers. Have we done a movie with him before? Because this has come up in conversation.
No, I don't. No, I never have. I have heard of it. I've never seen it, and I didn't even realize until kind of recently that him and his brother were the Naked Brothers. Like, I didn't even know about it. So I think he must have talked to someone else.
Okay, because this, I know of the show only because I was working electronics, I guess, when the show was out, and they put you could see the albums in the kids section. And I was like, that's a weird name for a kids show. Naked Brothers? That doesn't seem very kid-like.
Yeah. So it's like, his brother is Alex, right? Wait, he's Alex. And the brother's Nate? Or Nat, or something?
You got me. I have no idea. Is his brother also an actor?
Other brother is in, like, Paper Towns. He's an actor, too.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think I was looking him up because of that. He was in something else. Let me look to see what he was. But let's talk about the movie real quick while I wander off into...
Sorry. Yeah.
But I love that it's awkward and weird, and the adults are all strange, and just everybody has like their own rhythm in this. And his going from being excited to just being on the team to now he needs vengeance is
that's
so.
What I just saw him. I just saw him in the Stands, the newer version, and he was Lloyd.
Oh man, that movie, that miniseries sucked so bad.
Mostly, yes. And a few other things that Paper Towns, and Dubious Battle, Home Again, Death Note, that's the big, I think, one of his bigger things. Fault in Our Stars, oh yeah, he was so good in that. Admission, yeah, I mean, separately, they've both done a lot of stuff. Okay. Sorry, I won't interrupt you.
You're good.
Although I probably will.
But I love all the characters in this. There's really nobody that's just thrown away that has nothing to do. And even the minor appearance by Parker Posey is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
What do we have? He was in Carnival in Silicon Valley. Toby Huss.
Oh, I know. What a different, part for him to play. And what was the whole thing about him, towards the end, showing up, and he's, wearing a toupee? Is he, trying to pretend to be a different person? I was so confused.
Yeah, that wasn't 100% certain if he was playing a different character, or was it on television?
I couldn't tell either.
Was it aired on television, though, when he was wearing that wig because he was going to be in front of a camera?
Maybe. I'm not sure. There's a few things that I was, not entirely sure of the motivation behind it, but it was funny nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know that Julie Garner, I haven't seen Ozarks, but I did recently watch that, Inventing Anna, miniseries.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. It was a trip.
I think what works best with this movie is, for all its quirkiness, and some of it does seem a little forced, there's still honesty.
Like his hair?
Huh?
Like his hair?
Yeah, hair and the behavior and some of the dialogue, but it all still seems honest. Whereas, some of that stuff pisses me off. I still can't believe fucking Napoleon Dynamite made so much money, and it just seems so trite and forced. Just that artificial, chemical, version of quirkiness. Just to be there. There's no personality-based weirdness. It just is.
Yeah, I can't voice my opinions about Napoleon Dynamite because it'll just set me off on a tangent. So.
Yeah, quirkiness is like the way twee is, where it's not natural force. This is for this audience, this kind of thing, whatever. And I feel like this one actually works very well. And I do like the fact that, you know, he's so desperate to get into Harvard. He just wants to be accepted so bad. And then you think he's going to be, and then they thoroughly reject his ass. And then it becomes like almost like a death wish, but with knowledge. The Vengeance movie.
I do kind of like that, though. Like, I mean, I think I would have been kind of mad if he had ended up going to Harvard after all that.
Yeah. Well, I also like
he was better than that.
The plot point that Austin Pendleton is a recruiter for Harvard, and he says, if you throw this or don't get involved with this, I'll accept you into Harvard. And it has two things in it. First off, he has to fight back, you know, and realize that he can't just sell his team out, but he also does allow them for once to speak up and become their own champions.
True. That's true. You know, that was one of the things that did bother me a lot, and I realized, you know, obviously it was an important plot point, that he was always, you know, he didn't even give them a chance to know if they knew anything. I mean, obviously they were constant losers, and they appreciated the fact that they could actually be winners for a change. But yeah, it was all him all the time, and he got kind of wrapped up in the glory.
Yeah, I feel like we saw a sports movie like that, where it was a basketball movie where they got some new kid, and he just kept like taking the ball constantly and hogging it, and wasn't giving anybody.
Like Teen Wolf?
Well, I think you're right, but I was thinking of something else. But it probably is Teen Wolf. God damn it! But yeah,
I'm sure this is not the only movie that has, you know, done something like that.
The fact that I didn't remember that immediately is embarrassing. Teen Wolf for life, kids. Someday I'm going to watch the show. I own the whole damn thing.
I've seen like a couple of seasons, but I kind of lost interest after a while. Like,
okay. Yeah,
I'm not saying that means it's bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I got it for like nothing. It was like $9.99 for all the seasons or something ridiculous. So, anything else you want to say about the movie before we go? And my battery dies on this computer.
No, not really. I mean, considering that one is obviously a serious drama and one is a pretty silly, you know, comedy, and there's 25, I can't do math, 25, 30 years between them? 25? I don't know, math hard.
21.
There are similarities, you know, quite a lot of similarities between them. The vibes are different, but they're both very worthy watches, in my opinion. So,
yeah, and Hairbrained.
Thank you for introducing me to a new movie.
Hairbrained is free on YouTube, and not YouTube, I'm sorry, Vudu, and probably a couple other places. I thought it was in theaters, but from what the looks of it, it never even got the chance. I thought it was like one of those that would play like independent theaters for a couple weeks, but no, it looks like it went straight to video. It's a shame because it does. I think it could have found a small audience.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is it. What?
I'm the audience now, folks.
All right, so check us out on Facebook and Twitter and all your podcast hosts under Hit Rewind, and that is it. Have a good night.